Good evening, Commanders. Welcome to tonight's late night Elite Dangerous live stream, where I continue to explore Odin's Hold. Now, I've been exploring the system for a couple of sessions. I've just got a few moons to investigate. Also with this one, I think. Let's check. Yep. Come along.
Surface scanned by 50%. Surface scan complete. Surface scan complete.
Okay, launch some of those. I suspect I'll probably find the same in the other one. Or two. E and D. But just to be thorough, I will check them rather than just assume.
Surface scanned by 50%. Surface scan complete. Surface scanned by 50%. Surface scan complete.
I want to not really bother with the planets. I only do it because I have to be passing by. Whilst doing that, let me load up the list of places to visit.
Surface scanned by 50%. Surface scan complete.
Alright. Yep, thought so. Thought it'd be the same. Okay. Time to set a new route. We'll be going here. Quite far. So I won't be getting there tonight. Be a few nights before getting there. We're going to look for some Vortexa column red. Right, let's see what we can find.
Frameshift drive charging. Frameshift drive charging. System scan complete. Fuel scooping. Fuel scoop disengaged. Frameshift drive charging. Three, two, system scan complete. Fuel scooping. Fuel scooping complete. Frameshift drive charging. scan complete.
B1 and 2. This may take a few minutes. In the meantime, let's listen to the news.
Ashling requests rare items to fund charity. Pilots Federation alert. A fundraiser hosted by Princess Ashling aims to finance a support network for Imperial citizens affected by Thargoid aggression. The Citizens Relief Trust has been established in the Samir system, prompted by the loss of thousands of military personnel during the Battle of HIP 22460. She announced, "While the Empire is focused on increasing its military strength, we must not forget the human cost of ongoing conflict with the Thargoids. Those who died in battle will be honored by assisting the families and dependents left to mourn them. The Citizens Relief Trust plans to establish support centers to ensure their financial and emotional needs are met. To raise funding, I have requested deliveries of Eshu umbrellas, Zai biomorphic companions, and Chateau de Aegean. These luxury commodities will be auctioned or sold at a special gala I plan to host for Imperial nobility, with all proceeds used to establish this network. Wine and fish is also requested to serve to our distinguished guests. Although we cannot help those bereaved families who live beyond the Empire's borders, I hope that the Citizens Relief Trust inspires the creation of similar charities elsewhere." Pilots are asked to make their deliveries to Mackenzie Relay Starport in the Samir system, with planned rewards including luxury vessel paint jobs. At special request from Princess Ashling, Lavanese Legion has been tasked with accepting shipments and protecting those who are transporting these valuable cargoes. Combat bonds will be reimbursed for all wanted ships that are destroyed in the system. Demands for Azimuth to face justice. There are widespread calls to bring criminal charges against Azimuth Biotech for its role in the massacre in the HIP 22460 system. Rhiannon Grady, director of the Civil Rights Organization Advocacy, told the media, "Azimuth Biotech planned the operation in HIP 22460, with the Proteus Wave's failure leading directly to the slaughter of well over 100,000 naval personnel and combat pilots by Thargoids. Salvation's death does not absolve his corporation of its culpability. We believe that charges of willful endangerment and accessory to mass murder should be made, and those responsible should be brought before a court of law." Other citizens' groups have made similar claims, with some calling for the superpowers' leaders to resign or stand trial for supporting Salvation. These demands were given legal weight by a recent ruling from the Federal Navy Criminal Court in the case of Odin, which acknowledged that preventing the construction of the Proteus Wave may have saved many lives. Torben Raidmaker, acting CEO of Azimuth Biotech, gave this statement in response. Media outlets and uninformed laymen often refer to the failure of the Proteus Wave. The truth is that it worked precisely as intended, by shutting down all Thargoid vessels in HIP 22460. Unfortunately, Dr. Wycherley did not anticipate that the aliens had developed a technology to recalibrate his superweapon to affect human ships. I must make this clear. One man's regrettable miscalculation does not reflect on Azimuth Biotech as a whole. Our organization has pioneered xenological research for decades, and we have many dedicated experts in different fields. We must accept that weapons development comes with risks, but there is no such thing as failure in scientific endeavor. Far God cult under federal scrutiny. The Order of the Far God is facing an official investigation and increased public maltreatment within the Federation. Freelance journalist Alexei Keel published a special report via Vox Galactica. The Thargoid-worshipping cult has always been a controversial faith on federal worlds, but it is currently causing a civil backlash of the sort not seen since 3304. A recent expose by the federal
Frameshift drive charging.
Free Press proves that naval intelligence operatives are investigating all chapters of the cult established in federal space. Allegedly, there are suspicions that cultists may be undertaking acts of espionage to sabotage anti-Xeno operations. As more details of the Battle of HIP 22460 become public knowledge, the pacifistic cultists have become an easy target for ordinary people seeking some kind of revenge against overtly pro-Thargoid ideologies. Although security forces claim to be responding to these vigilante attacks, widespread prejudice means that local police rarely act when such crimes are reported. Antipathy to the religion has increased to the point where prominent figures in the federal government are calling for it be outlawed. As Secretary of State Lana Berkovich put it, humanity is at war with the Thargoids. To allow an army of crazed alien sympathizers within our society is to invite disaster. All of this has driven thousands of worshippers to abandon their hive chapels and join the more radical True Chapter sect. Welcoming the new converts, the first apostle proclaimed, "We must defend our faith and ourselves, so we may witness the far God's manifestation with our own eyes." The exotheologian Dr. Alfred Ulyanov has remarked on this as a fundamental shift from the fatalism of their conventional beliefs. Keel raises the question in his report, what happens if far God cultists stop tolerating these hostile acts and start fighting for survival? Aisling criticizes imperial policy. Princess Aisling Deval has challenged the Empire's shift in priority towards reduced interaction with other superpowers. During an interview with the Citizens Chronicle newsfeed, she remarked, "It's obvious that the Imperial Navy is deeply embarrassed by its commitment to salvation, and is as good as paralyzed without his superweapon technology. The Emperor is now attempting to save face by severing all collaborative projects with the Alliance and Federation. Frankly, I think this is short-sighted and self-defeating. Our naval crews in HIP 22460 died as heroes, of course, but we should not ignore that they were acting in coalition with Allied and Federal task forces. This tragedy affected all of us, and we do not honor the dead by pretending otherwise. All of us with the ability to help, no matter our allegiance, must do more to support the families of everyone lost in that appalling catastrophe, while recognizing the likelihood of further casualties of war." Hadrian Augustus Deval publicly disagreed with his cousin's viewpoint, as quoted by Parisen News Network. "Despite my respect for Princess Aisling, I must admit that Emperor Arisa has my support in this matter, something I never believed I would ever say. My position has always been that our empire is weakened by relying on external forces of any kind. So it's gratifying to see the wisdom of this policy finally being acknowledged." The judgment of Admiral Tanner. A special tribunal of the Federal Navy Criminal Court has deliberated the case of former Admiral Odin Tanner and made a final decision. The following press release was released to all federal news feeds. This tribunal has scrutinized the latest evidence supplied by the Federal Attorney's Office. We find that the analysis of Salvation's superweapons does indeed substantiate Mr. Tanner's allegation that they were designed to provoke a hostile response from the Thargoids. Azimuth Biotech has been unable to verify that its claimed anti-Xeno detection network exists, explaining that most of Salvation's advanced designs were not widely shared within the corporation. Nevertheless, regardless of motive or moral justification, Mr. Tanner directly disobeyed orders when the Musashi staged an assault on Hind Mine in the T-Tauri system. It is therefore our judgment that the court-martial verdict on the 12th of January stands. The request for a retrial has been denied. Having been convicted of mutiny and unlawful military action, he remains dishonorably discharged and has been stripped of his rank and honors. We do acknowledge the ethical argument that the Proteus wave would not have been constructed, and many lives may have been saved, if the Musashi had gained access to Hind Mine starport. In light of this context to the case, Mr. Tanner's sentence has been commuted to time served, and he is free to leave federal custody. However, he is permanently barred from entering civil or military service. Thargoid Raw leaked to public. Classified audiovisual footage from the Battle of HIP 22460 has been anonymously submitted to several mainstream news feeds. The Alliance Tribune, the Federal Times, the Imperial Herald, the Sovereign and Vox Galactica all received databanks salvaged from various wreckages in the HIP 22460 system. Most were obtained from naval vessels, along with a handful recovered from independent ships' logs. Superpower-based news feeds elected not to publish any information related to their own militaries, citing security guidelines. But enough material has reached the public domain to portray the sequence of events of August 9th. The activation of the Proteus wave, the Thargoid counterattack, and the subsequent destruction of huge numbers of ships. These files include audio recordings of a broadcast of unknown origin that occurred throughout HIP 22460. They match previously unverified descriptions of a so-called Thargoid Roar, something that has been discussed by independent journalist Flint Lafosse and Vox Galactica reporter Jade Sanderlin. Several interpretations of this unearthly sound have been offered. Professor Seamus Madigan believed it to be residual electromagnetic radiation from the Thargoid's energy pulse on HIP 2246010b. Dr. Jong Hui Shin theorized that it was a burst of frenzied communication to, or from, some distant location. Meanwhile, the first apostle of the true chapters claimed, "The voice of the far God calls to the faithful. The manifestation has begun." Coupled with the Thargoid expansion from HIP 22460 and their recent invasion of 3 inhabited systems, this new revelation has fueled public anxiety over the Thargoid threat. Members of the Alliance Assembly, Federal Congress, and Imperial Senate have reassured their citizens that there is no need for panic. It is believed that several intelligence agencies have opened investigations into the source of the leak, the content of which is believed to have been classified by military departments. Anti-Thargoid operations are continuing in the 42N Persei, Chunpindit, and Tekhachel systems. The Federation has submitted several Farragut-class battle cruisers to help repel Thargoid forces. Local factions organizing the defensive efforts have called for independent pilots to join the fight. Xenopeace activists, we are the invaders. The Xenopeace movement, which calls for communication with the Thargoids, has sought to rationalize the latest incursions. Despite ongoing conflicts in the 42N Persei, Chunpindit, and Tekhachel systems, Thargoid aggression has been attributed to defensive measures. Reports by journalists in those systems, which have focused on the increasingly aggressive Thargoid craft, have been labeled propaganda endorsed by major media corporations. The Thargoid Advocacy Project, a label which many supporters of the movement use in calls to action, believes that the authorities must commit to establishing a dialogue with the aliens. Timothy Culver, a prominent activist for the Xenopeace cause, provided a statement to the Sovereign. The Thargoids did not invade our space. We invaded theirs. Entire nebulas and other regions have been inhabited by them for over 1 million years, but our leaders arrogantly assume these regions are human conquests. Thargoid defensive acts were countered by destroying countless numbers of their vessels, stealing their meta-alloy resources, and a recent attempt to inflict widespread slaughter upon their fleet. These latest incidents are reprisals for the Proteus wave, a weapon of mass destruction built within one of the Thargoid's own surface sites. This was the second such attempt to massacre vast numbers of Thargoids, the first being the mycoid bioweapon used less than 2 centuries ago. Such acts of revenge are common in humanity's own military past. The Thargoids are responding via the only language our leaders understand, warfare. It's time that we spoke a new language. Let's start talking to our neighbors instead of aiming our weapons at them. Patrius highlights Thargoid tactics. Senator Denton Patrius, Fleet Admiral of the Imperial Navy, has discussed the Empire's new priorities following the Battle of HIP 22460. During an exclusive interview with the Eye on Achenar newsfeed, Patrius said, "Her Majesty the Emperor has decreed that our military priority is to defend systems within the Empire. The Imperial Navy's production and training facilities have increased their efforts to redress the loss of 3 Majestic-class interdictors, along with tens of thousands of naval crew. I've conducted my own tactical analysis of what took place in the HIP 22460 system. Salvation's interest in the area with historic Thargoid ruins was no coincidence, I feel. He was something of a showman, and planning a final victory in the alien's own territory fits what we know of his ambition. The Thargoids attacked human fleets with ferocious intent, but the fact they never assaulted the Proteus Wave site strikes me as remarkable. Even when considering the stout resistance we offered. There is saying among military strategists, never interrupt your enemy when he is making a mistake. In hindsight, it seems possible that the Thargoids allowed the Proteus Wave to be installed at their surface site, with the foreknowledge that they could turn the superweapon against us. Perhaps Salvation unknowingly constructed his own execution chamber. I'm convinced that we face an alien intelligence with a strategic competence to match any human opponent. The Empire cannot underestimate this enemy ever again. Thargoids turn attention to inhabited systems.
Surface scan complete.
There's going to be a major Thargoid attack in November when the next update comes out. So commanders, I suggest you all prepare for combat against the Thargoids. Because that's what's going to be happening. Either that or you can run away. But no.
Surface scanned by 50%. Surface scan complete.
Right, next system. Probably do one or two more jumps. And a vertical time on the screen if you want tired.
Frameshift drive charging. Frameshift drive charging. Fuel scooping. Fuel scooping complete.
Tend to get nothing interesting so far. Two more to go. Two more to go. And the final last one.
System scan complete.
Yep, nothing interesting. Seems. Right, anything here? So I'm going to call time the stream now because it's getting late and I'm getting tired. I'll probably stream again in about 23 hours time after our bath. So thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to hit the like button, and can I invite you to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon. Thank you very much for watching. This is Commander Clonmore Thandrop, out.